The commander for the SCIONS and SPELLCRAFT precon is Y'shtola Knights Blessed. Y'shtola reads, at the beginning of each end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, you draw a card. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, Y'shtola deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. Wow, I mean, this card right here, this commander right here, guys, if you're thinking about buying this precon, look, at some point in the future, this deck could very well be the most powerful deck inside your entire collection. This commander, dude, if you deal 4 or more life each turn, you're gonna draw a card at the beginning of each end step, which means that you could be drawing a card during every single end step of the game if you're able to deal that damage. So the ceiling for what this card can do is incredibly high. This commander is extremely powerful, but keep in mind, new players, that because we're talking about casting non-creature spells, which is really what this deck wants to do with mana value 3 or greater specifically, this deck tends to be a bit more intense on your ability to think. These colors tend to play very well with players that have a very good grasp of the game of Magic the Gathering. And if you are brand new, you may struggle playing this commander deck, so just keep that in mind. 4 is the magic number inside this precon. We want to make sure our opponents take at least 4 damage. So when you're playing this deck, it's really important to be aware of what's going on inside the game, because we can cast instant speed spells like we see over here to deal damage to our opponents on our opponent's turn when Y'shtola's in play. So let's imagine that our opponent takes damage from one of our other opponents through attack. And let's say they took 3 damage. That would mean if we cast a non-creature spell during that turn and we bumped that 3 damage by 2 to 4 damage because Y'shtola deals damage when we cast spells, that means then we would then draw a card at the end of that turn. Or in a turn where nobody's taken any damage, we can cast 2 spells with mana value 3 or greater before that turn ends, so that we deal a total of 4 damage to draw a card. So we really want to keep track of the amount of damage that our opponents are taking. And look, sometimes your opponents are going to get hit for 8 damage by a separate opponent, which is just going to trigger your commander anyway, and you didn't even have to do anything. This card, I'm telling you guys, is so good. Now, I want you to notice something looking at these cards. This card says, whenever you cast, whenever you cast, whenever you cast, whenever you cast, whenever you cast cards, allow you to not only deal damage while Y'shtola's in play, but sometimes you're going to be drawing more cards. Sometimes you're going to be buffing your creatures. Sometimes you're going to be doing other things. The point being is that these type of cards right here, new players, are the cards that are going to snowball you into a victory. So if I'm sitting down and I'm playing and I have these cards inside my hand, 2 non-creature spells that are going to trigger our commander, I would be more successful during the game if I waited to cast these spells when I had cards like this in play. So in other words, let's imagine that we're playing the game, right? We get our commander into play. I can start dealing damage with these cards, you know, but I'd rather just hold on to them, wait till I get 1 or maybe 2 of these type of cards into play, so that now as I start casting my non-creature spells, I get bonuses based off the cards that I have on the battlefield, because all these cards care about me casting non-creature spells. So to recap everything with this deck so far, we want to get our commander into play. We want to get other cards that care about us casting non-creature spells, at least 2 to 3. And then we're going to start casting non-creature spells to really get the engine of our deck moving. Now, what you're going to notice is that you're going to have a ton of things on your board, which is pretty good and really fun. And if you stay like that, you're more likely to win the game than not. But the thing is that because your opponents are going to be aware of that, your opponents are going to destroy the things on your board. Like, it has to happen. They're not just going to give you the game. So be aware, new players, that there are cards, and the only one inside the deck, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for your friends, this is a counter spell, which means that if your opponents go to cast a spell that destroys your board or a creature on your board state that you absolutely need, you can cast this spell in response to that destruction spell to stop it from occurring. And then we also have Thancred over here that gives a creature indestructible. That kind of acts similarly to this. But the point is, new player, off to the side over here, you're going to see a ton of different counter spells that I recommend inside this deck. And you're going to notice that a lot of those counter spells are mana valued 3 or greater, which means that as you cast those counter spells, you're still going to be triggering Y'shtola's ability, dealing damage to your opponents. So it's a pretty nice, it still synergizes with your commander pretty well. But the point is that you want to fill this deck with at least 7 or 8 cards that act like this, because so as long as you can control your board state while you're playing, it is incredibly likely that you're going to win the game because of the amount of cards you're going to be drawing. Now, the last thing I always recommend is that you play test your commander deck, which means that you're going to shuffle up the deck, you're going to draw 7 cards, and you're going to pretend like you're playing against a group of people. And by doing this, it's going to put you in a place where you can see the way the cards are interacting with one another, so that when you go play against your friends, you know exactly what you're doing. Now, if you like this video, remember to like this video. And if you're not subscribed to the channel right now, do not subscribe to this video. I recommend that you click the link right over here, subscribe to that video, because if that video gets 1,000 subs, I'm going to be giving away a commander deck completely for free. So make sure in that video you comment in the comment section below telling me. And if you appreciate these videos and you appreciate the giveaways, keep in mind this channel does have channel memberships, and for as low as 99 cents you can help support the channel and help me pick up precons just like this so that I can make these videos. Okay, always remember, everybody, eat healthy, all right, work out every single day. Most important, you guys can remember to believe in yourself. All right, peace out, people.